Greetings, citizens of the world. We are anonymous. We are NightSec. Around mid-August 2012, a party took place in a small town in Ohio known as Steubenville.
A hacker from Winchester, known online as KY Anonymous, now admits he helped to illegally take over a website to get involved in a 2012 rape case in Steubenville, Ohio that made national headlines. Deric Lostutter pleaded guilty in federal court in Lexington this morning. ABC 36's Melanie Kendall was there.
Can you hear me? Oh, wait, you got it on the mic.
Yeah, I can hear you.
Back in December of 2012, Lostutter released this video for the internet group Anonymous.
I don't have any video on here either.
And later put information on a Steubenville High School athletics website he helped hack, drawing attention to the players involved in the rape.
I left kind of a broken home situation in North Carolina. I moved back to Illinois because I was that quiet kid, you know, with the high waters and tucked in shirt, the good student and all that stuff. And then one day it just snapped for me. You know, my mom, she got beat one bad so time that it took me almost 3 days to clean the blood off the walls. That kind of changed me, and moved back to North Carolina, went to West Oaks, and one dude put his hands on me too many times, and I don't like being violent, you know what I mean? You know, I believe it was Martin Luther King who said violence is the language of the unheard.
Is the language of the unheard.
Nobody was listening to me to fucking stop, you know what I mean? You know, stop fucking touching me. You don't have my consent to be touching me, and you definitely don't have my consent to be fucking hitting me. So that translated into an angry mentality. Then politics got involved as far as political debates and debate class and stuff like that.
Becky, stand.
You start researching and learning about different social issues, and you fast forward to, you know,
they're gonna put you all back in chains.
2012, 2013. And you got whole ass governments cutting off their internet to their citizens and killing them in the streets for protesting and things like that. And I'm just like, yo, this is fucking crazy. And it was a whole different ball game back then with access to information. You know, the Snowden revelations, you know, I could go on about that for hours, but you know, it's just, I was like, damn, there's actually really a calling for, like, you know, people to stick up for people's rights. No taxation without representation, revolution, people run the government, not the government run its people, that sort of stuff. And what most people today would consider alt-right until I start quoting the actual Constitution, and then I get called a liberal.
Antifa!
I work in law now as a paralegal. I'm in school to be an attorney. I'm trying to get my shit together finally in my mid-30s. And so that's what I specialize in is constitutional law. And I have a whole ass TikTok where I just roast people that misquote the Constitution. And I do it in such a way that I make them enjoy the trip to hell that they're going on. You know what I mean? It's like, oh, you want, where's your hard-hitting facts for this? I'm like, here's the literal fucking statute for immigration regarding Martha's Vineyard and how you apply for asylum. They were here legally the entire time.
Did migrants, including several children, arriving in Martha's Vineyard, flown in by Florida Republican Governor and presidential hopeful Ron DeSantis, an effort to turn the spotlight to immigration just 2 months before the midterm elections.
Okay, the vaccine mandate, what constitutional right does that violate per se? Because Jacobson v. Massachusetts in 1905, the Supreme Court has squarely held since then that they have the right to enforce vaccine mandates. So it's like,
I hope you fucking die, homie, straight up.
Excuse me, are you vaccinated? You know what I have to say to that? Fuck you!
Also, I did file a lawsuit for voting rights that I can't really speak too much on without the approval of the attorneys that have taken it over. But I started it by myself against the former governor, Matt Bevin, because we were one of 2 states that didn't allow felons who have completed their sentences to vote. So that meant 1 in 4 at the time Kentuckians couldn't vote, and 1 in 7 women in Kentucky could not vote. Where in virtually every other state you could. So I believed that it disproportionately affected the balance of power. So I filed this lawsuit, basically kind of copying who the voting rights attorneys filed in Florida to get those voting rights restored. And now it's turned into a class action, and that's about all I can speak about on that. So that's part of my activism, trying to help people get their civil liberties back just education is my new form of activism rather than hacking. So I stumbled across Anonymous by accident. 2012, Twitter is a whole different breed of Twitter. Palestine, stuff like that was going on, the Arab Spring. And you're seeing in real time, because people have video connections now and, different video platforms where they can film in real time, that their citizens are getting beaten, tear gas, tanks running people over in the streets. And I'm like, holy shit. And then I guess algorithms kicked in and, the story of the hacktivists, documentary, whatever, that premiered by Southwest.
So I opened it and it's the LED flashlights and the really obnoxious bulletproof vest.
These people kind of think like I think.
10,000 angry kids, whoever they are, they scared the shit out of some people those days. They scared the shit out of the powers that be.
I wonder how many more of these people are out there like that. And so I started diving into the culture of it. Before I knew it, I was doing, just regular shit. And it kind of snowballed into some other shit, which then finally catapulted into the shit I went to jail for. And the shit I went to jail for was, Steubenville, Ohio.
2 Steubenville high school football players have been arrested for attacking a 16-year-old girl. And now local police are under fire from protesters who say they slow-walked the case to protect the football program. ABC's Alex Perez is in Steubenville with the latest. Good morning, Alex.
She was unconscious and went from party to party and things of that nature. And, the government said I was lying in my indictment, and the prosecutor said I was lying. I'm sure they'll watch this and flag me. I pretty much guarantee it. But, what followed after I went to prison was the indictments of these school officials.
In November, 15 months after the rape occurred, the school superintendent, Michael McVeigh, was indicted for hindering the investigation. A principal and 2 coaches were also charged. Coach Matthew, for providing alcohol to minors at those parties. The resigning of the superintendent for covering up via the emails, along with the IT administrator and his daughter. If memory serves, there was lots of charges, some indictments, and definitely jail time. Then they came out, there's a bunch of missing cell phone evidence. Well, guess who that got blamed on? Anonymous, right? And it's just like, nah, man, we're just going to the media with all the fucking pictures and shit that y'all posted to Twitter, like nothing had even been hacked at the time. The only thing that ever got hacked was a $12 website.
You can hide no longer. You now have the world looking directly at you. Pop roll, red roll. Engaged.
Admittingly, it is a crime and whatnot. But it was a football fan website. It was a private website. Somebody's football fan website was defaced for like 2 days, and what ultimately cost $48, cost taxpayers almost $32,000 per year for my incarceration. The indictments of the school officials and jail time of the school officials told all. But man, the SWAT team came to my door. 12 of them with guns. They brought out a whole forensic team, lab team, all that. Louisville Metro, Louisville FBI, Lexington FBI, Cincinnati Police, Cincinnati FBI, all for me and my little laptop and this $12 website. And then proceeded to follow me around for the next 5 years until they indicted me, taking pictures of me.
Ready with the camera. Right, ready with the camera, coming right up.
I moved back to North Carolina. I met my current wife and had a kid since then. I'm thinking, okay, everything's good. I'm living a law-abiding life. I haven't committed a single damn crime, but one single speeding ticket, which I got dismissed since then. We're in the hood in Winston because, we're looking for a place to live and housing is short. So we found a place to live, and I'm looking at my wife. I'm like, I used to sell cars for a living. I'm like, that's an $80,000 fucking Chevy sitting in Southside Winston with a white dude and his phone's pointed at me while I got a legally registered firearm. I wasn't a felon in on my hip, and I'm taking my pit bull out to take a shit. And he's acting like he's lost, looking for directions. And, out the window, I'm like, yo, can I help you? And I went back inside.
Yo, come on,
on, guys. He's right there. The officer's running right by him. They're going right by him. I'm sorry.
I told my wife this 1,000 times. I was like, I know the little dive bars in Winchester, Kentucky. I know when somebody walks in a beanie and it looks like they belong in a Starbucks in Brooklyn, that they don't belong down here by the river where all the people hang out. And they always had their phones pointed towards me. She always thought I was paranoid. And then when I told her that, I was like, yeah, that's a Fed. And she's like, you're paranoid. And then right in the middle of 2016, I got indicted after the fact, because it had been years since any news coverage, had happened. Like, I've led a couple protests and stuff like that in downtown Lexington, on like the 5th of November, that sort of stuff. But other than that, just lived a law-abiding life the entire time and worked my ass off to try and build something after everything got taken from me. So I get a copy of my discovery, which is a terabyte plus hard drive full of digital evidence, and I'm just sifting through the pictures. Like, I don't really understand much of this at this point because I haven't worked in law yet. And I see the picture of me taking the dog out. I'm like, I told Jenny, I was like, yo, fucking told you. I was like, they followed me for 5 years. I was like, how much money did you think they spent on that for this $12 website? In court, I was called a cyber bully. But if saying rape is wrong and fuck you to rapist is bullying, I'll probably wear that title. And if saying that middle-aged women or middle-aged men, for that matter, that support them are just as much of an asshole, then I guess I'm a bully. So whatever, like, you'll never get me to admit rape is right. That's how I feel about it. And I call my lawyer and I'm like, realistically, like, what can they prove? Go to them and let's see about a plea deal. Because my first child was stillborn. And then right after, my wife got pregnant again with my current daughter, and she was preemie and was, was born premature, and she was in the NICU. Well, we'll get these 2 charges lying to the FBI and conspiracy. Here's what you could face, but then there's a guideline sentencing range. And I got sentenced to the maximum term for my guideline range with a maximum probation for my guideline range, which was 2 years. And so I got the very maximum, and they said, we're going to make an example of you, that hacking is unacceptable. Literally nobody gives a fuck about me, man. I know that you're a judge, you got to do your job, this, that, the other. I understand that, and you think you're making this big statement here, but Anonymous is a different breed. They're 16-year-olds in New Zealand to 37-year-olds in Newfoundland, you know what I mean? So it's like, nobody knows I exist, nor do they care. Like, there's just this little bit of media coverage about something I've done right here, right now, and the next case is going to be the next case, and so on and so forth. I was in FCI Petersburg Medium, USP Atlanta, FTC Oklahoma. And it turns out the dude that actually accessed the website that was part of the group, part of the reason why I pled guilty to conspiracy, which they could prove in court, had informed to the FBI on me, which is totally fine, no hard feelings. He's across the street at a camp, misdemeanor, 6-month sentence, expungable, air conditioning, no air conditioning where I'm at, behind the fence with literal Al-Qaeda operatives over FCI Petersburg. I'm just like, okay. I was a little salty then because, it's all Virginia Beach practically. It's hot as hell in the summertime, but the example they tried to make, I guess, didn't work because Anonymous still exists today and is still doing shit today, and I have nothing to do with it.
This is a message to Vladimir Putin from Anonymous.
The group calls itself Anonymous. Unaffiliated hackers around the world now putting Russia in the crosshairs.
Members of Anonymous have declared cyber war against your aggressive regime.
They claim they've already targeted more than 1,500 Russian websites, including...
It was definitely different for me to experience, but it's made me appreciate life more. I wanted to be out before my daughter knew I was ever gone. And that was unfortunate for me because my daughter actually has a really good memory and she remembers me being gone. She's like, Daddy, why'd you go to jail? And I was like, she's like, only bad people go to jail, because now she watches like Paw Patrol and stuff like that and they get locked up all the time. I'm like, listen, not all people who go to jail are bad and not all cops are good. Like, some are, some ain't. And I did a bad thing to bad people that I thought deserved it.
The group also posted previously deleted tweets about the alleged incident, along with a 12-minute video of a boy joking about the alleged attack.
Trent and Malik raped someone.
And I went to jail for it. But somebody hurt a young girl and I felt very passionate about it.
And if somebody hurt you, I'd still be in jail. It's astounding to me that the American government continues to take advantage of its people. And it's my goal to eventually be a civil rights attorney to do whatever little footprint I can make to make that no longer happen. And then I took the DNA test from Ancestry, and I guess it runs in the veins, man. And it's just a weird fucking thing, because I'm like, yo, like I already knew, like from like doing the Ancestry stuff, that like my family was in the Revolution, rode for the cavalry, fought for the Union, things like that. But it turns out via my DNA test that, hey, yo, I'm also related to James Madison and Ulysses S. Grant. They're my cousins. Like, I wish I could convey the actual feeling I feel like every time I see like a rights violation going down. Like, for instance, Justice Clarence Thomas refusing to recuse himself from Lindsey Graham's emergency appeal, even though United States Title Code clearly says he has to if his spouse has a vested interest. And his spouse definitely does via that phone call and those text messages. You know, he blatantly violated federal law in the face of everybody and was like, challenge me. You know, those type of abuses of what my family has built for us to inherit, they would be, you know, Grant and Madison especially would be rolling over in their graves if they could see that happening. Like, and when January 6th happened and they ran up on the Capitol, and I was like, am I really watching this? Like, is this really fucking happening? Like, and I was like,
hey! Fucking hey, man. Glad to see you guys. You guys are fucking patriots. Look at this guy. He's got covered in blood. God bless you.
I got shot in the face. I got shot in the face with some kind of plastic bullet.
It's only a matter of time. Justice is coming.
The interest in music is a protected property right.
Law stressful. I don't just handle civil law. I do criminal law and things of that nature too. And caseload's heavy. Music for me is therapy. I did music before I got involved in activism. I was a rapper.
People who were outraged and worried that the perpetrators would get off did something about it. One such person is hacktivist Deric Lostutter, who helped post a video on the football team's website which outed the two assailants.
10 years strong, dedicated to this music.
Discovered rap wasn't easily bookable because of the stigma that comes with it, but DJing was, so I taught myself how to DJ, and now I'll get my foot in the door and show them, hey, I can bring a crowd, and I'll say, hey, I also know a bunch of really good hip-hop artists, and I promise you it's a non-violent time every time that we've ever done it, and it's a good time every time we do it. And so I'll bring hip-hop showcases. Music to me is like where I can just finally be myself and just forget who I am as an activist. The beats, the music, the lighting, all of it. Like you see behind me, I got soundproof foam. I'm in my studio right now. I make other people laugh and smile and have a good time instead of, you know, what the court said I did, you know, bully people or try and attack people or anything of that nature. I just want everybody to come together.
You cut me so deep, you made my heart bleed. Baby, where you going? Why you always leaving? You left me here alone to face my inner demons. You cut me so deep, you made my heart bleed. Baby, where you going? Why you always leaving? You left me here alone to face my inner demons. I'm so numb to the pain it doesn't even hurt now. This isn't what we planned, babe, but this is how it turned out. I know I said I'd make you proud, believe me, babe, I'm trying. Working 9 to 5, inside my soul is dying. Medication got me floating, drowning in a river. I embrace the cold, now it used to make me shiver. Does anybody hear me? Is anybody out there? I scream into the ether, but all I hear is doubt there. Will anybody miss me when I passed on? Or will I be a memory, just a sad song? Another name gone, added to the wall now. You say you love the summer, but all we do is fall out. Say my name in your sleep, let it wake you up now. Reliving all our memories and how our lives turned out. Let me haunt you in your dreams and look into my mind's eye. Examine all our choices with 20/20 hindsight. You cut me so deep, you made my heart bleed. Baby, where you going? Why you always leaving? You left me here alone to face my inner demons. You cut me so deep, you made my heart bleed.
like how on cop cars, to protect and serve is in quotes, like they're being sarcastic.